Managing a practice can be very difficult. Managing a clinic can be very difficult. Managing personnel can be very difficult, and especially difficult if you failed to give your teams the tools in which to manage themselves. What I'm talking about here is how to become an executive of one, an individual staff member armed with the tools that they need to put the future in front of them. One of the things that you're doing as the CEO, as executive manager, is you're trying to not just put out fires. Firefighting management doesn't get you very far, but what you're trying to do is put out fires for sure, but you're trying to create a very nice future, and that comes from execution of plans. Now, that could be a plan that's over the entire organization, which is things that I do when I go into a practice, or it could be the plan to beat last week. If you're a staff member, that is your plan. Whether you're a manager at the CEO level, a regional manager level, a clinic director level, a VP of administrative level, or anyone who has people underneath them, you're all just trying to beat last week. And as an individual staff member, you too are trying to beat last week. Now, truthfully, there's only so much production an individual can do, that's for sure. But if we manage our area smartly, if we plan out the future, we can stay always in a high productivity situation, and we can put ourselves in an environment where we can possibly, as a staff member, make a little bit more money because we're pushing the rock up the hill in alignment with all management. So what I want to go over with you are what I would call the tools of an executive at a staff member level. Like, what are the things that would make you, if you are a staff member, a better one, a more valued one, a more productive one, and one who perhaps could make a little bit more money. Now, the only way to make more money is just to make more money. I know it sounds really simple, and I say it as a very simple thing in a lot of my videos, but it's nothing more than that. If you as a staff member would like to make more money, you need to figure out how you can bring more value to the practice from your position. And I mean value in terms of dollars, not concepts or ideas. So if we're managing our area of our organization well, we'll grow. So the very first thing is that you need to have a statistic or statistics, one or two things that if those are going up, it reflects on your performance, whether that's an arrival rate if you're at the front desk, whether that's patient visit volume if you're a clinician, a statistic or two, right, that belong to you. Doesn't belong to them. Like, oh, we did badly. Oh, I don't know. That doesn't have anything to do with me. No, I did badly. So if we have organizational statistics at the top level or at clinic level, eventually we have to get to the staff member level. So if you want to really rock it in your organization, you've got to get that statistical pressure down to the individual. You can't do it at the top level. You can't be kind of the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain pulling levers and expect your organization just to explode. You have to bring it all the way down to the individual staff member. So the first thing is everybody has a statistic or two that measures their performance. Next thing is they have to keep that statistic on some form of a grid. I could put a link in here somewhere below, around, or whatever. They can give you a Google sheet that you can use to create a grid. The next step is that you need to be tracking the statistic that you've been assigned daily, okay? Daily production. So in other words, if you have a goal for 100 widgets by the end of the week, you need to be at 20 by the end of the day on Monday, 40 on Tuesday, 60 on Wednesday. I think you could do the rest of the math. So if you are finished out Monday and you're at 12, you should see that. You shouldn't just get to the end of the week and go, oh, we ended up with 82 widgets. Darn, right? So part of being an executive of one is planning to beat last week. So how am I performing through the week so that I can see if I'm actually achieving the end goal of the week? So the statistic that you track, you want to keep daily. I have a link down below or around or somewhere that you could find that has a statistic grid that you could use that could kind of help lay out a little bit of a foundation for you and move things along in the direction that you want it to go. So the next step, so first is they have to have a stat. Second, they have to track it daily. The third thing is they have to have a weekly action plan. So when they finish out each week, they are to look over their statistics and decide what needs to be done that are the vital actions that they believe, if accomplished, would keep their statistic high or maintain it if it is already high. Not the list of items that won't make any difference difference at all. So at the very top of your action plan, as a staff member, you should fill out at the end of the week, as you're planning to beat last week or maintain a high production volume, you should just look at your numbers and note down the things that you believe, if done, would allow you to maintain that, such as, so let's say your statistic is patient visits and you're a PT. Well, maybe you want to take a look at what influences my patient visits, all right? So I might want to look at patients who didn't come in at the frequency they were prescribed. So I might look at who actually only came in once when they're supposed to come in 2 times or 3, and put that on my action list for the new week to tackle them and reaffirm their interest and desire to get well. I might also take a look at my patient visits are down, and I might notice that on my initial evaluations, I'm only asking the patient to come in 1 to 2 times a week. So I might shift that up. For my next evaluations, I'm going to have them come in 3 times a week and get my patient volume up. We're not asking you to overtreat. It's going to see the same number of visits to discharge, but it does raise your weekly production. So things like that. So you would put that in your vital steps of your action plan. Now, below the vital steps, you want to just draw a line. That means everything above I must get done because it will raise my stat. Everything below are things I would like to accomplish. Now, this could be follow up on Joe Smith, who whatever, or a progress note to Dr. Jones, or whatever it would be that would be important, but not like life-changing. Sometimes all of us will make a list of things that we need to be doing or get done, and if we really looked at it smartly, would this increase our overall production, or would it actually just be something that would make our life more organized? Now, nothing wrong with that. But if we're looking at an action plan, the very first thing we get our head around is what moves the lever. The next steps are other things that make my life easier, or whatever it would be. Don't mess those up. You see, we only have a certain number of hours in the day, and we create our future, or we show up in the future. Like I would say in workshops, you're in the future now, right now, right now, right? You're in the future, and you can create the future, or you could show up. So part of actually planning for the week is so that you show up strong at the end of the week. Now, again, understand, as an individual, you can only do so much. Sometimes I'll get physical therapists and I'm like, how many patients do you expect me to see? Well, whatever the standards of care that are defined is what you're expected to do. If they're not defined, those should be defined. So at the end of the week, you write out your action plan, you make a copy of it. You attach a statistic grid that you were keeping, and you turn it into your supervisor. Your supervisor looks at your action plan and maybe makes a note or two of things that you should be changing or improving to get better on top of things. So being an executive of one, in a nutshell, consists of the following: that all staff are keeping a daily statistic grid. You're going to write down your own action plan for each week and check it off as you work your way through it. Next, you're going to make a copy of the week that just ended statistic grid and the new week's action plan, and you're going to give that to your supervisor or manager for them to review. They're going to look at it and see if anything should be targeted for the new week as far as statistics, or anything added to the action plan. You are showing your boss, if you're a staff member, that you've got this. This is one area of your practice you do not have to worry about. I've got it completely under my control. That's what you're demonstrating. When you don't provide this information, the manager has to kind of look and find it himself or herself. If you provide that information, you've raised your value quotient, right? You've raised your value to the organization. So that would be the next step. Lastly, if you don't already have a staff meeting, you should hold a staff meeting. And in that staff meeting, you want to present your statistics, how you compared to the prior week, and your action plan for the new week. Very quick. Show that you have control over your individual area. It will make a massive difference if everyone were to do that. So what we're talking about is being an executive of one. You manage by stats, you keep an action plan, you diligently knock it out, and you stand up and prepare to present your production at the end of the week. Thanks.